Hi, this is Gene, DNS Bait. This report is current as of Thursday, the 30th here. Things have definitely started to look up here the last week or so as the water temperature continues to warm slightly. It hasn't warmed a lot, but I'm sure it's going to with the weather coming up here on Friday and this weekend. Water temperatures right now are still in the low 70s. Up here on Lake Mendota, I have been getting a few perch reports around the chain, around the lake, and not a lot of guys are out there doing it, but I have been talking to a handful of guys who have had some pretty good success on perch on the lake at one time or another. They've been fishing along the weed edge. Generally, mornings seem to be the best time. Evenings a little bit too. I've heard anywhere from the west side by Spring Harbor, Hatch Cover. I've heard some over by Burley Street. I've heard some also up by Fox Bluff up in that area. And I would imagine there's been some over in the University Bay, which would hold true generally if all those areas are producing. There's some in University Bay. And again, it's been right on the weed edge, tucked pretty tight to the weeds. And they've been using a piece of worm, a piece of crawler, whatever, leaf worms, spikes, wax worms. Some red plastic seems to help out a little bit. The smallmouth bass action on Lake Mendota still seems to be pretty good. A lot of weed line stuff and bars. Leeches seem to be a good live bait choice. Otherwise, the guys are still using a variety of plastics, fishing some Yamamoto stuff, wacky style, or some tubes have been working pretty good too. Catfish action seems to have slowed down this last week again. I don't know what that's all about, although I wouldn't give up on them because obviously they usually continue to bite all summer long. Lake Monona, those bluegills, there's some more fish in spawning now, not still lots of them, but there's a lot of fish out in 7, 8, 9, 10 feet of water just throwing bobbers over the weed edges. And then guys are having some pretty good perch action on Lake Monona in areas on the lake. And again, it seems to be on the weed edges. Hudson Park has been a pretty good area over by Sluder Beach. Wild Haven, I've heard a few in there. The Rock Pile by Squaw Bay. Turtle Point. Olin Park area, or the medical bar out from Olin Park has been a pretty good area. Even some in between Squaw and Turtle Bay on that weed edge there over by the Red Horse or Esther Beach, that area in there. And again, tight to the weeds seems to be the key, although some days there have been some fish out a little deeper, but tight to the weeds does seem to be the key over there. If you're not catching weeds once in a while, you're not close enough. And then those same water depths have been throwing bobbers along the weed edge and getting some bluegills. Muskie action seems to be picking up too on Lake Monona and on Lake Waubesa. I've been hearing some nice sized fish taken this last week or so on both of those lakes. And the pan fishing on Lake Waubesa, less guys doing it here lately, but a friend of mine was down there the other day and he said there were a lot of bluegills around that lake in about 7 or 8 feet of water, just like on Monona. He just had to do a lot of casting to catch them, but they wound up doing pretty good, had a limit of pretty nice sized bluegills down there. On Lake Kegonsa, I actually didn't hear too much this week. I did hear a little bit of bluegill action still, Barbers Bay and over by the state park. Some walleyes out off the bar there in front of Barbers Bay, and over the tops of the weeds in several areas, like over by the state park and Holiday Point over in that area. It's been hit or miss though, and hopefully it's going to continue to hit in several areas on the lake, and hopefully this bluegill action is going to continue to pick up. We do have some special hours this coming weekend. This is just prior to the 4th of July. On July 2nd, over here at Warner Park, which is right across the street from us, they have their big Rhythm and Booms fireworks display, which really disrupts the whole area. So we're only going to be open on Saturday from 5 a.m. to 12 noon, and then we'll reopen on Sunday for our regular hours from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you.